U.S. federal law that governed the acceptance of refugees changed in part in response to accepting refugees. So post-World War II up through the 1970s, decision-making about what sorts of refugees to admit and under what terms and what conditions rested completely within the executive branch. So the president and the bureaucracy could make those decisions entirely. And there was a law passed in 1980 that shifted American refugee policy such that Congress began to have a say in the policy, and that had something to do actually with the Cambodian crisis. I think the challenges and problems were really much more within the refugee population themselves than to the communities, right? So the people who came faced considerable difficulty, especially the people who came in larger numbers in the late 1970s and then on, people came from the late 70s through the mid 90s. And those people tended to have a combination of trauma that they had suffered during the wars in Cambodia and language questions and poverty that made their situation very, very difficult. So their difficulties are much more important than the difficulties in the towns that they arrived in. But in those conditions and as people settled, there definitely are questions about schooling and education, working with a population that is trying to find access to jobs that were becoming scarce. As you probably know from your research, the two biggest settling places were Southern California, Long Beach, and then also up into Boston area, in particular Lowell, Massachusetts. And Lowell was going through a decrease in industrial jobs shortly thereafter, and so finding work for people who were coming in anyway and in difficult situations, and as I said, suffering from traumas that come about from civil war and genocide, means that those were the story of the Cambodian refugees who arrived becomes part of the struggle in cities that are facing a bleak economic future.